Lars. Lovely.
Welcome, Lars Sivertsen. Welcome,
Lars.
Welcome, everyone. Can I just say what my sort of big Asamoah Gyan fun fact that I can bring to the
Yeah,
table?
please.
Are you reading it? Yeah.
I mean, he was not currently. This is off memory. So you probably know that he did some music. He's big into his music, and he would perform sort of music tracks under the name Baby Jet, which was his nickname.
Wow.
He did in 2017 attempt to launch an airline called appropriately Baby Jet Airlines. And I did have to look up, but he was actually handed like an air carrier's license by the Ghanaian Civil Aviation Authority. So he was starting to get the admin in place to launch his own airline. But in spite of numerous attempts, it never, if you forgive the pun, it never got off the ground, as it were.
Yeah.
But, and they then eventually kind of closed down the whole project. But I do believe he's the only only footballer that I know of, certainly.
Apparently, Luis Suarez blocked it. Luis Suarez blocked it.
Did he?
Yeah.
He was holding those things, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was holding whatever those big semaphore things going that way, that way.
Yeah.
Go on. Your airline
Kept
footballers then. Come on then.
8,
10, 18. Come on then. 10 minutes of that. Okay, come on then, Lars. Step in to your Mitsubishi Star Wagon and tell us who's the biggest mission of the weekend.
Wow.
Mitsubishi Star Wagon. I drove halfway up the Norwegian coast this week in an old Volvo V70. Just saying,
very
car
nice.
chat.
Very on brand.
I don't often bring car chat to the table, but in this case,
No, and good, and frankly good.
Yeah,
But
exactly, and plane chat. What a segment so far. Listen, let's be slightly provocative this week. I think the biggest mission of the week is Manchester City. I don't think we're ever going to say that. I don't think we're ever going to say that with a straight face on this show. But they've got one win in the. They've got one win in the last 11. I mean, this is completely outrageous. We're almost running out of language and things to say about this. This sort of blip. We've never seen a Pep Guardiola machine malfunction in this manner. It's just not happened. It's one win in 11, 1 win, 2 draws, and 9 defeats.
And yet,
since the last. Yeah,
Lars, they're still top of the XG table on 1.98. And you look at Aston Villa.
Are they? I'm not convinced they are.
I love this. Charlie's looked at the numbers, and Lars has got the numbers.
You look at Aston Villa in 14th and 136, and you just think, how does that happen? Villa don't score enough goals. Is what we see from that.
I think you're looking at. I don't trust your numbers there, Charlie. I'm looking at a slightly different XG table.
Love that. Charlie's so excited before the show that someone had sent him the XGs.
Eric,
to really
Eric. Good morning, Eric.
Where have you got your numbers from?
To throw Lars off the set, and Lars just goes, I think you'll find those numbers are wrong.
That's an old table, I think you'll find.
I think your numbers
That's exactly how I wanted this to play out. Carry on, Lars.
No, I'm just going to say, the rather wonderful FBref website, whose numbers I believe are from Opta, who are fairly reliable, they've got Liverpool on top of the XG table. And in fact, I was going to make a point of this. The City's XG is actually below Villa's now, according to FBref.
I don't understand what I'm saying is the thing.
I am very, I think we need some sort of inquiry.
It was like a special Christmas. It was like a special Christmas Noel Edmonds style jape I was doing.
Has someone been feeding you duff information here, Charlie? Have been trying to set you up to look like a fool on the radio?
Good friend of the show, Eric Blair, sent me them and said, this would be good fun. And I thought, that would be good fun.
Yeah, I think he's done you there. I think he's done a shimmy. He sent you the wrong way. I mean, what I think, trying to slightly get back on track, I mean, Kovacic supposedly could be back here, and I think that could make a difference for Manchester City. I mean, to try to plug that big hole in midfield. But I actually think Gundogan says something really interesting after the Juventus defeat. And I wonder if Pep Guardiola likes Gundogan just kind of going out and explaining why they're so bad. But he explained very eloquently that one of the issues they had in that game and that they've been having recently, he said, I have a feeling sometimes we're a bit careless in duels. Instead of playing simple, we overcomplicate things. And he pointed out that they keep giving the opponents counterattacks. And as Gundo says, then we have to chase them 50, 60 yards back. That's not what we're built for. We're built for possession, for keeping the ball. Even if you can't do anything in a duel, don't lose it. So he's basically, this is Gundogan, who's not the youngest player in the Premier League anymore, who is kind of huffing and puffing around in midfield, asking his teammates, for God's sake, stop giving away the ball. We don't want to have to run back all the time. And I'm being slightly flippant, but there's something to that. I mean, they don't. Rodri's not there famously, but also there's quite a few guys who have passed 30 now. When you have that midfield of De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Bernardo Silva, like, they don't want to be running back all the time. And you have Kyle Walker, has been discussed, doesn't quite have the recovery pace he used to have. So I mean, it's the wingers are not entirely innocent in this, and Savinho and Duku and the lads who are adventurous players who want to try to do stuff one-on-one, but maybe City need to just try to lose the ball a bit less. I think that's part of it.
Arsenal got a Palace 5:30 today, Lars, and they really, I mean, they beat them in midweek in the Carabao Cup. Whether you can read anything to that, I don't know. But they have dropped points in the last couple, I think. You know, at the same time that Liverpool has, and I think people have already started to say they are not in this title race.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, maybe this is a sidetrack, but I wonder if Oliver Glasner is on the social media site formerly known as Twitter, because he has said in the run up to this game that what he wants from his wingbacks from Tyrick Mitchell is that he wants to attack more, because he said about Bukayo Saka, who's obviously brilliant, but he said the one thing he doesn't like to do is to defend. Now, I think, having spent some time in the sort of football sphere on the internet, if I was to just kind of put out a tweet right now saying Bukayo Saka doesn't like to defend, I think I'd have to close all my accounts for the weekend. I think there would be so many angry Arsenal fans up in there. But I think he's also a little bit harsh. I do think Bukayo Saka is a pretty diligent player. But it reminds me of something, a slight sort of Norwegian name drop alert, something John Arne Riise once told me, which was that he, as a fullback, he always believed the better the winger you're up against, the more you should attack as a fullback. Because the idea, it is true, most brilliant wingers, they don't love having to spend all their energy tracking back all the time. Yeah. So maybe that's something. I think, in inverted commas, everyone knows that Arsenal are super reliant on Saka. Like, he is the source of so much of what they create. So maybe this is the game for Tyrick Mitchell to unleash his inner Riise and just go wild and keep running down the flank there.
And Jesus scored a hat-trick midweek. Do you think we'll see him again today?
I mean, I would like to see that, because I think if you have a guy like Jesus who has struggled for goals, and it's suddenly releases like this, I mean, it probably wouldn't have been Arteta's plan to play him both midweek and in this game, but I kind of feel like when you have a striker and he has that day and finally the ball is going in, you should try to put him out there straight away as soon as you can, right?
Yeah. Where should we go next? Brentford first. Brentford.
Sure. I'm stumped you. You're so wild by my thoughts about Jesus. You're like,
do you know what I was doing? I was reading all the airline puns.
Yeah, there's some good ones coming in.
Collating them all for the end of the section.
Ipswich v Newcastle, live on talkSPORT 2, not on UK TV. Great result for Ipswich last week. They do feel like they might get it together. You never know with Ipswich. I think lots of people are behind them as some sort of second team. No Liam Delap though, which is a big miss.
Yeah, and as listeners will know, I do worship at the altar of the XG. But I have to say, when it comes to Ipswich, I think they have the second worst XG in the league. But you know what? I feel like every time I watch them, they look kind of fine. Like, obviously, there are a lot of players in that team who haven't played a lot in the Premier League, and but I've seen a lot of games this season with Ipswich where they've just looked competitive, whether they've gotten results or not. I wonder if there's been a handful of games where they've been turned over a little bit, and that's where the bad numbers come from. But really, Ipswich, I feel like every time I watch them, they're just a little bit better than I'm expecting them to be. And I think for a Newcastle team who have struggled a little bit on the road this season, I mean, they've had some decent results at home, but away from home, their record isn't great. This feels like a bit of a trap for Newcastle. I think they think that this could be a rough one for them.
I was going to do Brentford Forest, but actually I'm slightly more interested from you, Lars.
Should we get the airline puns? I mean, we're running out of time.
Before we do the airline puns, just a quick word on Spurs Liverpool tomorrow.
Yeah,
because
game. What a game.
Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen in that one?
I think I'm sorry, but that's kind of where I'm landing with it as well. Who knows? And I am finding myself really going back and forwards on Ange Postecoglou. I thought he was great after the game. In midweek, when he talked about, this is what it's all about, man. This is entertaining. This is tremendous. And I do enjoy with that. And I listen. I really like something he said in the press conference ahead of this game about how it's part of the beauty of football that coaches have different approaches. Like every coach will look at, they have 11 players and there's a different way of getting those 11 guys to try to score a goal and try to win games. It's true. That's one of the things that for me makes the sport great. Having said all that, I was watching the game against United, and I was just absolutely infuriated in the second half when Spurs were clearly losing control of the game, And you're just thinking every time they got the ball, just play a couple of simple passes, guys. Just take some of the tempo out of this absolute madness. But instead, they keep going forward, keep playing risky balls, like keep losing it again pretty quickly. There has to be some sort of middle ground between the unhingedness of Ange Ball. That's not a word. It's sort of unhinged Ange Ball, and just some degree of game management of players identifying, wow, this is kind of spinning out of control. Let's play a couple of simple passes. Let's calm the tempo down. They just don't do it. And for a neutral, it's great to watch, but you can understand why the Spurs fans are going slightly crazy about this.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang says John.
Nice.
Eberici EasyJet says
That's
Scott.
very nice.
Really good. Gerald Qantas, Plain Rooney, Jared Boeing,
Lufthansa Flick. Very nice.
Lufthansa Flick is good. I had Alan Lufthansa, Ryanair Fraser, Ryanair Christie.
That's good.
Jesse Lingus. Jesse Lingus.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse Lingus.
Family show. Let's move on.
Vince Hilaire attendant. I do like them. That'll do. Well, anyway, lovely stuff, Lars. Always good to talk. Cheers, mate.
I think there's more stuff there. Listeners, please, you can do better. Come on, bring it in.
Virgin Atlantic Van Dyke. Virgin Atlantic Van Dyke. Okay, yeah, very nice. Okay.
Maybe there isn't.
I think that's it. I think we've done it.
Yeah, we've done it. Well done. We completed it. Cheers, Lars. That was the biggest mission of the weekend with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.